And that night, there was a heavy wind. Almost my roof was about to somersault. I said, no.
If only there'd been a weather forecast that which had predicted it, you might have told them, stay and finish it.
You go and withdraw your whole bank account. You buy timber. How expensive a timber is. You buy iron sheets and you come and it fly. No.
I'm glad you did not do that in the presence of Jolas. I'm sure Esonyasi would have.
Everybody was hanging on their roof that night,
but
even the Jolas.
Because when we had the terrible windstorm a couple of years ago now, I went round kind of West Coast region and I went along the coast, and it was quite dramatic. Everywhere you went, there were roofs that had been completely flown, off. There was one school somewhere near Tangier, and the whole, quite a tall building, roof completely gone from the whole of this 2 or 3 story building, and everything was gone. It was quite dramatic, quite shocking. So, but that tale is quite an amusing one.
It's not easy. I mean, there are times where people struggle a lot when it rains. I mean, some people will not sleep.
I was wondering, while it was raining yesterday, I was like, there are families who will not sleep tonight because of the rains, the floods and everything. There are families who will not be able to even think of food. The only thing they can think of is the fact that, they don't have a place to sleep.
Yeah, sure.
So,
that's
it
true.
happens.
It does. I mean, one of the things that on that drive around that I noticed was the number of perimeter walls, what you call fences here, but they're solid walls, that had been knocked down, and a couple of them we stopped, and you could crumble the cement. The quality of the blocks was so poor that you didn't have to be particularly strong to break them. So people do these things on the cheap, and they think they, but
exactly.
when something like that happens, it tells you that.
It's just trying to economize.
And in the long run, it's not
There
sensible.
are things that you economize. There are things that you should not economize. For example, a whole bag of cement, it will, they've advised you at least to mold 35 blocks. You understand? There are people that mold 40
and something.
42 blocks. And at some point you mold and say 45 blocks, you only get sand.
It's all sand. It's all sand. And it's not solid. It's not strong. It might look deceptively strong to the eye, but if the wind and the rain comes,
it just blows it away.
Mr. Ade, some people
Speaking of the wind, is it last week the wind blows the solar panel at my village?
Yeah.
The borehole, their solar panel, it's blown away, and then now they find it very difficult to access water. So
we are saying it on this program.
Well,
we need a solar panel for our village.
Yes,
we do.
So someone should really
and one that's
this morning
anchored
fund
down.
should really do some GoFundMe for my village.
Before end of the program, we want someone to send a message on our Facebook page, at least to donate our village a solar panel, so that we can continue fetching water for those innocent people there. You understand? Yes, so Julde Njai, the proverb, what does it read today?
So, Balde, our African proverb this morning.
I like cartoons. I love them.
Yes, there's all this. So our African proverb this morning, where there is will, there is a way. Straightforward.
That's a kind of general one, really. I'm not sure it's an African one necessarily. You find it all over the world, and sometimes you come upon something and it looks difficult, but if you apply yourself, you can achieve it. You can conquer the seemingly unconquerable or the impossible, because you have the will, you have the determination to do it. So it's a general one. I think you'll find it in most, where there's a will, there's a way. Somebody will say to you, "Oh, this can't be done," and then you think, like, really? Watch me. And then you want to disprove, or you want to prove them wrong. I mean, with me, people come to me and say, "Oh, I've been looking for this book or this photograph or this piece of film for the last 20 years," and they tell me I said, "But did it ever exist?" And they say yes. I said, "Okay, I shall find it." I like challenges like that. When people say they've been trying to research stuff. Unfortunately, when you do it and people then go and tell everybody else, they say, oh, that guy, he was the one who was able to find that one.
Yeah,
you know, so it can be. There was one woman who contacted me because she said her father had been awarded an MBE by the Queen in about 1965. And she couldn't find any evidence of it. And so people were doubting her. Even the family were beginning to doubt, was this old man, was he lying? And there's a thing called the London Gazette. All such awards are mentioned in the London Gazette, and it's online. Honestly, it took me about...
Since 1960?
The London Gazette goes back to 1566. So even things like the Sierra Leone company that traded in slaves in Sierra Leone, you can find all the details of all their meetings.
My question is, I mean, the London Gazette, by then, there was no internet. And
they were digitized.
able to put that on file.
On paper. Yeah.
Yes, to put it on file. And they were not so lazy to take those files and transform them.
No. That's one of the things that you find a lot of European countries are very good at. So, for example, when I was doing research into the slave trade, you could go to Portugal, go to Spain, the Netherlands, and they have records going back 300-400 years. And a lot of it has been digitized. I mean, for the British, even longer than that. So yeah, so it wasn't, it took about 1 minute to find that one. I just typed his name in the search engine and it came up, and I printed it and gave it to her, and she said they were going to have it framed because it mentioned her father by name and why he had been given the award. So things like that, you know, like you say, where there's a will, there's a way. But sometimes you also need to know where to look, of course. Yeah.
Okay, all right, Jules, so what's up? What is your own interpretation?
My own interpretation. Where there is a will, there is a way. Of course, no matter how difficult a situation is or circumstances that you're facing or encountering in life, always know that there is hope. When there is life, there are always hopes, and miracles can happen at any time. So when you are faced with, you know, challenges, difficulties in life, you're going through a lot, don't lose hope. Just know that it is a passing cloud, it's a passing storm. It will go away and a brighter and beautiful day will come. So don't be carried away by situations and just be determined and focused. Know that, okay, this is what I want, work hard towards that. And surely God will help you through your way. But the most, the worst thing you could do for yourself is the fact that, okay, you are not making trials, you want something, but you are not working hard towards that. You are not determined towards achieving that, or you're even doubting yourself. That's the worst thing you could do to yourself. Doubting the fact that your capabilities, doubting yourself, doubting the fact that you can achieve something or you can be able to do something. But once you have that belief, that determination and hard work, trust me, there is nothing in this world that you cannot conquer. So where there is will, there is always a way out.
And you've said something interesting, because sometimes we say that the toughest enemy you have to conquer is
your mindset.
Your mindset. You have to overcome your own doubts. Say, I can't do it, I can't do it. And if you can conquer that and say, yes, I can, you know, then that's a major part of the battle won. But what's your
take? I was one of the, how do I call it? I was an introvert before. I was so reserved. At some point, I am not that, you know, I'm not that much of a public speaker.
No, same here.
Yeah, I used to be my school days, when I was around my grade 2, 3, you know, I was not, you know, when I see people speaking in public, you know, I think they have something like a natural, something different.
Magical something.
I look at them as if, okay, these people, they are different from me. We are totally different. They have this power, they can speak in public. You understand? So when I met this professor called Malang Bass, I mean, Malang said to me, there is nothing that you can't do. You know, he said to me, it's a matter of determination. Malang, it's this Manjago boy who also love education. Okay. I mean, so he trained me on public speaking, restore my confidence, and do 1 or 2 things. You know, we burn the midnight candle always. Right. You know, and he transformed me. I later became a school head boy. Right. You know, during my school days. So it's a matter of having that will. to be able to do it. But first, you need to conquer your mindset,
Yeah.
you know, to be able to have that confidence. Because at some point, the mind keeps drumming into your head that you cannot do this.
Yeah,
or when you do
Don't
this, you'll be
do it,
embarrassed.
don't do
Yes,
that,
you know.
but mine is a similar story to yours, and I've said it many
Yeah.
times, even on here.
Yes, yes,
that,
yes.
you know, because I used to admire my father. I would go and watch him in court. Later on, when he was in Parliament, I would go and a couple of times I saw him speak in Parliament when he was an MP. And I just used to admire, like, wow. And there were others. The then Prime Minister, later President Shaka Stevens, was also one of these people who was very good. He would speak for an hour with no speech written down, and you wouldn't be bored. And I used to think, wow, how does he do it? You know, and then, as I said, when I was at a boarding school, Christ the King College, my English teacher forced me to be on the debating team. And the reaction I got when I spoke, honestly, was like, I was like, why was I ever worried about this? You know, and yet before then, they would ask me to read from the Bible. It was a Catholic school, you know, during the lesson. That kind of stuff I had no problem with getting up and reading in front of even 100,000 people, you know, but the kind of, you know, more kind of expressive speaking and debating, I would never have done it had I not been forced into it. But once it happened and I saw the reaction, I just thought, this is easy, you know, and since then I've kind of never looked back. So I've always given Mr. Koroma that thanks and respect that he forced it out of me.
Exactly.
And I owe him a lot. Yeah.
And you know, you are a good public speaker. I mean, I've learned a lot when it comes to you being, you emceeing different events.
I think some people in London think that was my job permanent. I did so many.
You look so professional
ridiculous.
and very and very comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, there are people that I definitely watch when they are doing certain things. The likes of Ansubana Eso Nyasi. Eso is also a very good public speaker and a very good MC as well.
I've seen Jennifer do.
Yes,
very
Jennifer
well
Sonko
as well.
You know, as well. You know, so that is what it is.
Yeah. So
Julia
yes.
is also another soft-spoken, beautiful Fulani princess that can speak, and you enjoy
this boy.
If Julia starts talking, you don't want her to keep quiet. You like her to be talking because her tone is very soft.
Nice.
I'm blushing.
Lovely, lovely.
So we'll take a short break.
Yes.
After the break, then we'll be back and we'll delve into some of the stories making headlines. We'll be right back.
Internet for your free videos, pictures, chats, work and school projects? Think Free Night Browsing. QCell's Free Night Browsing lets you browse the internet for free. Oh yeah. Get a data SIM, recharge a minimum of $500 and enjoy free browsing after 24 hours from midnight to 6 a.m. every night for 30 days. QCell, Sunubus. We innovate, others follow. It's happy time. Get 50% off all calls to any network. Enjoy calls every day to any network from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Is it too good to be true? QCell. We innovate, others follow.
This is QTV This Morning. I am Ibrahim Osori Balde, wherever you're watching us from. We are broadcasting from our studios on Kairaba Avenue, West Africa, the Gambia. Well, unfortunately, I don't know the number. I'm just kidding. I know the number. I'm just trying to tease Mr. Ade. He keeps mentioning street names and street numbers and addresses. So
I know. It's all right. It's a foreign, it's an alien concept once you leave Banjo.
Yeah, so, I mean, today the president is on his way to China.
Yes.
I mean, to attend the China-Africa
the forum on China-Africa cooperation.
Yes, it's important. For the past years, China have been playing a very important role when it comes to our sub-region. I mean, we've seen the China-Africa belt, the road
Belt and Road Initiative.
Exactly.
Joy.
And I think it's important.
Yeah.
You know, we said seeing is believing. And we've seen the impact of some of their projects in the Gambia. We are enjoying some of our smooth roads in the URR.
Sure.
They are connecting us. The bridges are connecting us to Juldes Town.
Yes, yes,
You know, so we are enjoying it. So it's a very significant.
And I'm glad you said the sub-region, because I mentioned just while we were off air that I saw Doumbouya on his page on YouTube. I subscribed, so I got an alert. And I looked at it, and I'll mention what I said off air. I actually posted a comment. Sometimes I will post a comment saying well done and so on for some of the stuff that he's done. But my comment today was, Mr. President, I noticed that every time you leave the country and return, you ask all the ambassadors and your ministers to line up at the airport to see you off and to see you back. I said it's embarrassing, it's unnecessary, please stop it. That's what I posted on his YouTube channel. I've never seen the sense of it. It's ridiculous. It's silly. But he's there. So they filmed him leaving Conakry, all these people lined up, and they sent film of him landing in China and being received at the airport, which is fine. But honestly, all these people lining up, 60 or 70 people lining up to see you every time you leave. Even when he came to Senegal for Diomaye Faye's inauguration. People like, come on, that's just nonsense, honestly. It's totally unnecessary.
There are presidents. I mean, I think
think
it's an old-fashioned thing.
You think Biden or Trump ever did that? It's ridiculous, honestly, and it's silly. It needs to stop, really.
Well, it's a matter of maybe trying to intimidate, I can say, intimidate.
You want to show how important you are.
Intimidating the public to some point. This is a precedent. I mean,
they want to indoctrinate the public more, like, oh, this guy is so important. These people should be in their offices doing their work. They spend all the time going there and then spend half the time going back, and they block traffic because all the ministers.
Some of them might even go home straight from the airport. They won't go because the president is not around.
Yeah, quite. You know, honestly, Mr. Doumbouya, or President Doumbouya, stop it. He went with the First Lady. You know, they went together. Well, yeah. Anyway, so yes, our president is there as well.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we've stopped doing that here. President Barrow stopped that thing about all the ambassadors and honorary consuls and everybody else having to line up to see him off and receive him. And I applauded him at the time.
Maybe Doumbouya is going to see your comment, and
I hope he does.
And stop
I hope somebody does.
Next trip,
because my comments have normally been quite positive.
If he did not do it next trip, then Mr. Ade, you played a very important role.
Yeah.
But yeah,
change to the
but
people
I'm looking
Conakry.
forward to the FOCAC. So on the news tonight on QTV, we've got Gambia's ambassador to China speaking to Jennifer Sonko, and also China's ambassador to the Gambia speaking to Jennifer Sonko. So yeah, and already we know, you mentioned good relations and so on. All the kind of visa restrictions that have been
and I'm glad that
lifted
the ambassador mentioned that come next year, Gambians
they'll be doing visas from here
Banjul.
In Banjul. So he said early in 2025. He couldn't give a date just yet, but so that's one positive. Yeah. So what else?
So this gathering, I think it's important for people to know what the gathering is all about.
I mean,
I have
the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. I think the title almost gives it away.
Yeah, almost.
A Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. I mean, that's what it is. China has done, as Ibrahim Abalde says, a lot of work in not just in the Gambia, but in the sub-region. You go to Guinea-Conakry, we're just talking about that. They've done a lot of work there. They're doing a lot of work there. One of the big recent mining contracts that was signed in Conakry, Guinea, was with a Chinese company, mining contract. So yeah, in the sub-region they're doing a lot. And one might say that in many countries they're almost replacing a lot of the development work that were done by the former colonizers, or one might even say the lack of development work by many of the colonizers. China has kind of taken up and is doing well, and that's why people respect them.
Well, for China, I have so much respect for China, because they believe in work. They work very hard. I've interacted with few Chinese in the Gambia. I went to their shops, we interacted, but even the way they carry themselves, you will definitely know these people are very serious people and they believe in only work. So I have so much respect for China and its people.
They're doing a lot, and I'm glad that this year the particular focus on this year discussion is going to focus on climate change, energy, and of course digital innovation, which I think the African continent
I mean,
need
the
a
climate change one is an interesting one because,
Yeah.
of course, China have always been named as one of the big polluters. So that's going to be an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
You know, China, America, India, they're among some of the world's biggest and worst polluters, and countries being blamed for climate change. So yeah.
So
All right.
what do we have?
UDP tells government to withdraw unacceptable draft constitution. It's a mighty story.
It's an interesting one. I mean, we've discussed it here before, that there's been a lot of comment from various sides. You've had some people for, some against, including some people who don't belong to any particular political party say that they actually are in support of this new draft that's been submitted. I guess we'll see, because if you look at the numbers in the National Assembly, the ruling party or the president's party probably don't have enough for it to pass. So if enough are against it, then it won't go any further, which will be a shame because we've been here before. And yeah, there's been all this talk about there wasn't consultation. The Justice Minister tried to rebut a lot of that, saying yes, there was consultation, including party leaders from some of the ones who are now saying they're opposing it. So I'm not sure what that consultation was, but he may have been talking about the 2021.
2020
because I don't
consultation,
recall
yeah.
any consultation for this one. Well, I don't have a very good memory sometimes, so maybe he's right and I'm wrong. But anyway, they've told him to
I did not heard
withdraw.
of any consultation. And most of the people, the problem they had with this draft, it's the fact that it was not consultative.
But so I was surprised when he stood up and said quite boldly that there was consultation at the press conference last week, because I don't think any of us remember that, or we missed it, maybe. Anyway, next.
So, still on the Standard newspaper, please investigate mysterious death of teenager in Basse.
Mysterious death of teenager in Basse.
That is a 14-year-old boy.
Do you know the details anymore?
Well, according to what I read on the Fatu Network, is the fact that the police have arrested the alleged killer who confessed to murdering this child. According to him, he beat this child to death. According to him, he was trying to instill some kind of discipline to the child. Yeah, I mean,
Disciplinary measure.
disciplinary measures, and he beat the child to death.
Wow.
It's a 14-year-old boy in
shocking.
Basse.
Wow. Wow. I mean,
It's crazy.
this is insane. If that is the true story, then that's just crazy. That's crazy. Yeah.
Well,
our
let
condolences
the police,
to the parents.
maybe we'll talk
I
to
mean,
the
or
police
family.
PRO tomorrow
Yeah.
Yeah.
on the
True.
program, at least to
Yeah.
give us more insight.
Let's
of
find out
this.
some more.
Yes. So,
What-
Julda, any other thing on the paper?
So we dealt with the battle of to China. GFA
Senegal.
welcomes new.
Senegal seeks Europe's help to fight jihadists in Sahel.
It made me smile when I read that, because Senegal and other countries in this Sahel have been rejecting Europe's help. So I saw that last Saturday. I think that story was the first time it appeared. On Saturday. And I thought we're trying to get rid of Europe from this region. Why is Senegal seeking Europe's help? We've said we can do it ourselves, or we can do it with the help of Russia. Suddenly the Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso have brought in Russian mercenaries to try. It's not helped. It's not worked at all. It's been a complete disaster so far. So maybe they've accepted that it's not working and going back to the drawing board and saying, maybe we do need help from Europe. But it will be interesting to see what Europe's response is,
Yeah.
having told them to go to hell.
So,
Yeah.
still on the Point newspaper, Senegal to dissolve the National Assembly this month?
I haven't read the story, so I don't know.
I haven't. But
So
I think
it
it will be interesting to know the details
I
as to
saw
why
one
the government wants to dissolve the National Assembly.
I
this
saw
month.
one Senegalese politician being interviewed about it, but I must admit I wasn't concentrating on it. It came
So
up
what
on
happened,
the
Mr.
screen.
Ade? If they dissolve, they'll go for a fresh election?
For elections, I presume, yeah.
And to elect their National
It
Assembly
will be
members?
interesting to know
I
what
assume
led
that's-
to the dissolution of the National Assembly and everything. Be really interesting to know.
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely want to follow up on that story.
Yeah, we know that there have been reforms since the Joma has been elected, a lot of reforms in government and the civil service. But yeah, it will be interesting to know the reason why this is happening.
There have
at the
been
National
reforms,
Assembly.
there have also been reforms that are being resisted. As we all know, there was a time, the day when the newspapers all did the front page, pardon me, black in complaint and protest at government's actions. So it's not all been smooth sailing. So maybe this is a kind of normal dissolution of National Assembly. I'm not sure whether it's out of the ordinary or something particular. It'd be interesting to see what happens.
So, still on the Point newspaper, US-based Gambian Mariama Jallo calls for support to underprivileged disabled. I think it's important.
Yeah. I've said before, when the 2020 draft constitution was rejected, one of the things that I kind of upset me was that it had quite a lot of progressive stuff there about the rights of people with disabilities. Having said that, we have lots of laws that we don't implement, so maybe even if it had gone through in the draft constitution and it had become law, there's no guarantee that anything will be implemented.
Even with all these government structures, they are not disability friendly.
They're not. So. We should be at a stage where it should be by law. Any public building, whether government or private, as long as it's a public building, could be a bank, insurance company, or whatever, should have wheelchair access as standard. I mean, in the West, that's been the case for 20, 25, maybe 30 years. We're still nowhere near there yet. There are a lot of places where people have to access, the public have to access, and you can't access it with a wheelchair. We've got a long way to go.
Yes.
A long way to go.
So, Ibrahima, anything on your tablet?
I'm trying to fish out some
interesting morsel of
exactly. So,
yes.
I mean, lecturers walked out of UTG disciplinary hearing citing conflict of interest.
Interesting. I guess if
and I'm seeing one of my brothers there, Aliou Jiba.
Okay.
On the front.
It would be interesting
headline.
to again dig into that one, because conflict of interest being what from the people who were possibly sanctioning them or holding them to account might be colleagues. Maybe they want an independent body to be the one that does the disciplinary hearing, rather than somebody who they might have disagreement with on a daily basis. So it would be interesting to but I wasn't aware of that one at all, I have to be honest. Yeah.
3 busted with drugs concealed in shoes, bags at the border.
Oh. Yes, people will hide where they can and where they think they won't be searched or imagine you and I have been places where they search you. How do they search you? They just pat you down. So if it's in your shoes or in your socks, unless your socks are kind of bulgy looking, but yeah, in your shoes, yeah. So
And people
take off your shoes.
People are very wise, and they can conceal certain things at certain places. You won't even realize it.
Yeah, of course, of course.
The day I was searching that guy, I didn't know he took my money. I searched him. On the whole, he got a secret pocket somewhere. Can you imagine?
They are sophisticated.
Yes, where you put the belt, there's a pocket, a small pocket. I didn't know. I keep searching.
That's it. So I guess it shows that there are times when even when people think they can get away with stuff, they can't quite outsmart the authorities. And yeah, I guess now they'll be charged, particularly if it's obviously it's found on them. You can't say, I don't know anything about it. It's not like it's in your luggage. You can say, oh, somebody put it there. I didn't see it. But if it's in your socks or your shoes.
Those that swallow the drugs, some of the drugs.
Oh, that happens, of course. I mean, but again, some of them get, scans, show them when people
CT
suspect
scanners.
them. We've seen it when people have been stopped at airports abroad, and it's found out that they've swallowed drugs, which, as you and I know, if some of those drugs burst, it can kill them. Because you get an instant overdose and you'll be dead. So it's quite dangerous. But people take the chance. They take the risk for money. And some of them end up in jail for 20, 30 years, or in places, Thailand, they get killed.
Swallowing the drug is one thing. But removing the drug at the end of the time, how do you remove the drug?
I think we all know.
But Mr. Ade, the process to go oh my God. People can go far. When I was a little boy, growing up, I have this notion that if you go to Europe or America, you plug money from trees. And, now it sounds different.
What do you mean? Are you telling us that doesn't happen? You do.
Oh, it happens.
Yeah, you go, there's a money tree.
You go and plug money and just bring it.
The magic money tree.
Because
when you are already in Europe, the notion that we have is he got money. Yeah, he's a European.
Straight away.
Yeah, it's mini paradise. So, you can just go and then be wealthy in 1 year or so.
It's different.
We were going to do a story on Saturday. I ended up dropping it. I think she Ugandan, an influencer, so-called, had posted that she's fed up, I think from Kenya, that she's fed up of sending money back home. She said, why do Africans pay this, what she called black tax, which apparently is what they call it in South Africa and Eastern Africa, essentially remittances. And it started a whole debate because people then started criticizing her, saying, when you're privileged and you're rich, you should help your family back home if you can. Others were saying, why should I? I've got my own family now in the West. I want to help my family in the West. I don't need, And it started such a debate that she actually took down the post. But nonetheless, it was too late because it had gone viral and people had commented on it. And of course, here in the Gambia, we know that remittances are such a big thing. Potentially, Gambians send possibly about $1 billion.
Well,
in remittances
in the Gambia,
annually.
Yes, in the Gambia, not only Gambia, but in most of the African countries, you don't go to Europe or America for only yourself.
No, and that's what the debate was all about.
Family.
That's what the debate was about. And some of them were saying, why should I? I've left, and it got quite interesting because one guy was saying that even as a student in Germany, where he was only doing a part-time job, they still expected him to send about $100, $200 a month. And he said one family emergency, they asked him to send about £1,200. And he was really struggling. So in the end, he had to tell them, look, I'm a student. I'm only allowed to work part-time. I'm not making a lot of, please stop expecting me to send money. But yeah, I mean, the whole debate around it was, that should we still be doing this? The thing is, we're different. It's part of our makeup in Africa, really. It's very much a thing that, as you said, when you go, you don't just go for yourself. Some of those family, your uncles, your aunties, they all helped bring you up. And we always feel we owe them something. It used to make me smile when some of my aunties who were way wealthier than I was still expected me to send money for them. It was quite ridiculous. I mean, it's like silly. I had an aunt who had about 13 or 14 houses in Sierra Leone.
And seeking lessons.
She was like rich.
Lessons from them.
Yeah, but Mr. Ade, at the end of the time,
I shouldn't be. You should be sending me money.
You made no mistake. She's your aunt. I mean, you mentioned she is my aunt.
Yeah.
And
but
your
she's
aunt,
richer than I.
You need to take care of your aunt.
No. How can I take care of somebody who's richer than me? It doesn't make sense.
Well, it keeps it going. It makes it.
The
ones who don't have, I understand.
I think they kind of
somebody who has money.
Appreciate the fact that it is from you, their child. even though they know that they are richer than you, but they appreciate the fact that you're giving them something.
No, I mean, and I have to be honest.
It's our cultures and traditions.
I didn't resent it. It just used to kind of make me smile because, and the reason I didn't resent it is because very much as my mother did, those people were involved in my upbringing. So I owe them a lot. So yeah,
So
but it used to kind of make me smile. Huh?
You have to give back.
No, like I said, it used to kind of make me smile because they were very much instrumental in my upbringing. You know, I spent almost as much time with my aunties as I did with my mother. You know, in fact, one aunt, my dad's sister, every Friday from school, I wouldn't even go home. I'd go straight to her house. And many weekends, I'd be there until Sunday. My parents wouldn't even see me until Sunday. You know,
so that's the beauty of Africa, for the fact that we have that caring and sharing nature. You know, you go to your uncle's house or your auntie's house without even having to inform them prior to going.
She had 10 kids of her own,
exactly. So without even having to inform them prior, you go there and they treat you like, okay, you are at home and you can do whatever you feel like doing. You don't find that in the West.
That's it.
You don't find that there.
It's true, it's true. And I think when we go there to the West, people are quite sometimes shocked at how different it is. Like one of my workmates who told me that his brother came and knocked on his house at 9 o'clock at night and he refused to open the door. So I just asked, I said, so why, have you guys not speaking to each other? You had an argument? He said, no, he didn't tell me he was coming. I kind of looked at him like, what? I said, my brother, if he came at 2 o'clock in the morning, he doesn't have to tell me he's coming. I'd still open the door.
No, in fact, my brother will tell me, don't lock the door, I'm coming.
It's like seriously. Like,
I wouldn't lock my house. If I know my brother's house, I will not lock the door. I'll just bang it like that.
Know, so that, but it wasn't a surprise to me, but I genuinely had to ask him whether there'd been some sort of row between them. He said, no, he said he just didn't tell me he was coming. He just turned up, knocked on the door, and I told him, no, go away. I was like, what?
You can't do that in Africa.
Can you imagine?
Oh my God.
I mean,
well, that is what it is. You know, we have our own ways of living. We have our own styles, you know.
Which I think is beautiful.
So they find our own system strange. We find their system strange as well.
and for us, our loyalty is more to our family, our tribe than to our country, for example. Some of them, in the way that they're ready to die for their country, many of us are not in Africa. And in Africa, I can understand it because the borders that we have were not decided by us. They were imposed on us by colonizers. And so we don't feel that kind of sense of ownership about, this, but we feel a connection to our family and to our tribe. You know, I'm Fula, I'm Jola, I'm this and that. We feel that connection much stronger than we do. I mean, Gambia is a kind of made-up entity and not made up by us. So, you know, Senegal, you name it, any country in Africa, we did not choose those borders. So you can understand why the kind of affinity, the loyalty is not to those things that were kind of created and imposed on us. And, you know, I've had this discussion with people over the weekend arguing about, you know, I used to write a lot about Sierra Leone. I used to promote Sierra Leone a lot. And they're like, when you retired, why didn't you retire to Sierra Leone? I said, does it matter? I'm in West Africa. You know, I could have gone to any country. I could have gone to Guinea-Conakry. I could have gone to Cabo Verde. I'm here.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, considering that relation that, you know, it's one. And for it's all about the borders. I mean,
and for me, it was always going to be somewhere in West Africa. Yeah. Everybody always assumed it would be Sierra Leone. But I said it didn't have to be. Yeah.
It's all about the borders. I mean, it would have been.
We had the opportunity. We still have the opportunity to change the mindset and then change the way we are governed and everything. Well, we chose not to. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think for far too long we've been blaming the colonial masters, and I think now we have ourselves to blame.
And those people are dead long gone.
50 years after independence or more than that, I mean, what are we doing? We are still here blaming the colonial masters. We have ourselves to blame.
ECOWAS free protocol movement of people.
The Africa Continental Free Trade Area.
We're struggling with it. We're struggling with it. You know, because if you come from Gambia to Senegal, you get a problem. You're coming from Senegal to Gambia, you have a problem. You want to go to Guinea-Bissau, it's a problem. It's pathetic.
You know the reason why? The reason is everybody wants to eat you. everybody want to eat money from you. You understand? There is no proper system. You know, people don't want to put up proper systems whereby you don't even talk to people. You only talk to machines. You just come, scan your finger or scan your passport and pass with your goods. Just come, weigh your goods and move without even talking to anybody.
At least in Europe, if somebody stops me at a border, I know it's not because they want money. They might not like the color of my skin or something, but it's not because they want money from me. But, you know, we just had some colleagues recently who traveled between here and Senegal. Got stopped 5 times. And most times it was because they wanted money from them, not because they were doing any official checks. And if you didn't pay, you didn't move on. That has to stop.
It
really.
has to. So it's the mindset that, you know, let's see Africa for what it is and appreciate and love our continent and our people and appreciate what we have. I mean, we've been blaming the colonial masters for far too long. What are we doing about it to change the situation?
I no longer call them colonial masters. I just call them colonizers. The master giving them too much.
They're still, trust me, they're still running.
Somebody posted something on one of the WhatsApp groups I belong to last week, a friend of mine actually, and she said, because of the fact that we Africans did not choose the name Africa, is it time we change the name of the continent? I just wrote, good luck with that one. It's never going to happen. That bird has flown, that boat has sailed, whichever analogy you want to use, it's never going to happen. We're not about to change the name of our continent. We will never get agreement on it. And a lot of us have embraced Africa as the name of our continent. So, sorry, that one just wasting your time with that particular debate or argument. And yeah, people were contributing. Yeah, let's call it this, call it that. Like, yeah, good luck with that.
Does it really even matter?
Does it matter?
It doesn't.
You are who you are, and you are what you are. So, and the geographical boundary of Africa has made us who we are and what we are, and we live with that. You know, the name
I'm
is
seeing
irrelevant.
interesting statistic here. I mean, the dollar is killing the Dalasi.
When did the dollar stop killing the
The
Dalasi?
dollar is
It has been killing
massacring the Dalasi very well. And you know,
So now you're tempted to open a money transfer
for business people
bureau.
like us, we are always conscious about the rise
The
and
exchange
falling of the
rates.
Dalasi, the exchange rate.
rates.
I'm saying 70.50. Is that okay? That's not normal.
What was it last month?
No, but that's abnormal, Mr. Adi.
No, I asked a simple question. If it's abnormal, what was normal? 69 something?
69, yeah.
No, there was a time
68,
the dollar
69.
Yeah.
there a few years back the dollar was 42 to
No,
1 Gambian dollar.
Did you say a few years back, or
Yes.
do you mean many years ago?
Few years, like 4 or 5 years.
Hey, I've been here 5 years.
5 years.
It's never been that
Yeah,
low.
it's
42.50.
It's never been 42 when in the last 5 years.
But this
Please,
scared me there.
stop it.
70.50.
Yeah, that's
You wonder then what happens to the euro and the pound sterling. So this is
You mean
Gambia.
in relation to the Dalasi?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
The pound must be 80 now.
We should start doing. We used to do the
85.
the rate from the central bank, but they stopped sending it.
No, we'll start updating people as to what is happening. And you know, there's something that I've seen. You know, people now request payments in dollars in this country. And you know, that's nonsense. That's bunkum. I mean, we shouldn't be using those
We used to
things.
get it at the airport in
Yeah.
Sierra Leone. There's a very fancy restaurant in Sierra Leone at a place called Toke Beach. And I went there once, and I just wanted to annoy them because all their prices were in dollars. And I went there, I had a cup of coffee and a cake. And the guy presented the bill, and I said, "What is this?" And he said, "It's in dollars." I said, "But I live and work in Sierra Leone. Where am I getting dollars to pay you?" He said, "No, we only accept dollars." I said, "What?" I said, "So you don't want Sierra Leoneans to patronize your restaurant?" I said, call your manager. So the manager came and he said, "What's the problem?" So I explained. I said, "This guy has presented me a bill in dollars." I said, "I'm in Sierra Leone." I said, "I work in Sierra Leone. Where am I getting dollars to pay you?"
Go get the change
I said,
and
"Don't
come
you
back.
want us to come to your place?" He said, No, that's our policy. I said, "It's illegal.
It's illegal.
You
in
think I could set up a restaurant in London and say I'm only accepting Dallases or Leons?
Leons, yeah.
They will kick me out." I said, "Don't be stupid." I said, "All I have is Leons," and I paid him. I said, You tell me what the exchange rate is and I'll pay you.
You paid in
I
Leon.
paid in leons. I'm not going to pay in dollars in my own country. That's nonsense. And but you're right. We have it here. You have people who say, I'm renting a house. And they say, oh, I only accept dollars. Go to hell. What? Where am I getting dollars to
it's
pay
an
you?
insult to the economy of our country.
Of course it is. And it should not be allowed. And we should have a system where we can report such instances, really. But that instance, and like I said, I've named the place, Toke. They don't do that anymore because I think they must have met a lot of resistance since then. But that was many years ago. It's ridiculous. You know, I'm in Sierra Leone and you're asking me to pay in dollars. Where am I getting dollars from?
Absolutely.
You know, imagine, okay, I was visiting, but imagine I was somebody who was working in Sierra Leone. Where would I get dollars to pay you? Pay for my bill, settle my bill. I wouldn't.
And some of these bureau de change, companies are now also helping. For the fact that you go online and you see that the rate is 68, 69, you go there, they're telling you it's 66, 65.
That one is, that's more, the one online, it's never an exact science. You know, it can be, there can be variances between that. So that one I understand. I mean, they based around, what they think they can get away with asking for, really. And if they think they can give you 66 or whatever, that's what they'll give you, and they'll say if you don't like it, go somewhere else.
Somewhere else. It shouldn't be like that.
But
it shouldn't really be like that.
It's a free market. You can't impose it. You can't.
Well,
because the online rate, you don't know what it's based on.
Yeah, well, you'll be surprised in Guinea-Conakry. You'll almost get a half bag of money to buy a plate of food.
Nigeria, inflation.
I mean, you'll be surprised to take $10,000 to Guinea-Conakry. You party the whole month and come back. You leave some change there.
I don't know. We might give it a try.
Yeah,
we might give it a try.
Gorka's village.
Exactly. So, Mr. Ade, we've done a lot. Almost we've exhausted the whole time here.
Yeah.
And we'll take a short break.
And we didn't even mention that Tom Samfie is the new coach of Mali.
Oh, but he was in Philippines.
He was in Philippines in February.
What happened to Philippines?
Well, he inserted a clause in his contract with the Philippines that if an African job came up and he was offered it, they should release him. And that's what happened.
So now he
seems to love Africa.
He does. In fact, the BBC have done a story about him, about how much he loves Africa. And he beat off some top competition. I was shocked that he got the job. When I saw who else he was up against, I'm like, wow. Hector Cooper, Conceição, Pitso Mosemani, South African guy who took Al Ahly to Champions League triumph. Yeah, he beat them.
Yeah, but that is it. It is said, another man's food is another man's poison.
And they've given him he has to take the team to at least the semi-final of next year's AFCON and also qualify them for the World Cup.
I'm not sure about that.
I'm not sure. They've got a good team.
I'm not sure about that, but I know Mali.
But it's a tough task.
Mali is a good team.
They're a good team.
Although the task is tough.
It's tough.
But let's wish him well.
Yeah, we wish him well.
Tom is our Tom.
Tom is our Tom, as he called himself, the smiling coach.
Exactly, the smiling coach. Yeah, so we'll take a short break. And after the break, then the program will continue. We're supposed to have the guests from the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education to talk about the WAEC results. But they're yet to be in the studios, but we'll find out if they are on their way. We'll be right back.
As the fastest growing GSM company in the Gambia, QCell has the widest 4G plus coverage in the country, 3 times faster internet speed than our competitors. So switch now and dial *335# and enjoy what true 4G feels like. QCell, the Gambia's trusted network. QCell, the fastest growing network in the Gambia, now presents to you the eSIM. QCell's eSIM allows you to electronically scan a code and join the world of digital SIM cards. Customers with physical SIMs can easily switch to the eSIM as well. So rush now and get connected with an eSIM and start using the latest mobile technology with your trusted GSM operator. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sinubus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Get a QCell SIM card for free. Yes, absolutely free. Walk into any of our customer care centers and get a SIM free of charge. With a QCell SIM card, you can get the fastest and the most reliable internet plus wide range of amazing services. So rush now to any of our care centers and get a free SIM now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell Sunubus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Have you been looking for the perfect indoor router with long-range Wi-Fi coverage and faster internet speed connecting all your smart devices? Well, we present to you the QCell Indoor Router, a router that has all you need and much more. For just $4,275, you can get 4G plus internet speed, wide coverage, and connect up to 15 devices. And that's not all. The indoor router can be used for both office and home needs. So, enhance your internet experience with our indoor router. For more info, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sinubus. We innovate, others follow.
With so many things to do in a single day, it's important to have a network you can trust. When there's family and friends to connect with and business calls to make, you need a network that is reliable and fast. Talk longer, browse faster, go farther, and roam wider. When your network is solid, the world is your oyster. QCell, your trusted network in the Gambia.
Do your banking the smart way with the new Ajibank mobile app. Transfer money to any bank account in the Gambia. Top up airtime for all networks. Pay utility bills. Check your account balance and view mini statements. Request for ATM cards. Request for checkbooks and more in a single touch. So, do your banking in a smart way. Do your banking now with Ajibank mobile app. Every time is banking time. Ajibank, your investment partner.
Thank you very much. Welcome back after that break. I hope you are logged into our social media handle. I mean, you can send your comments as well to be part of this program. Now, let's move to some sports wall, and we have Momodu Gajaga in our midst, and he will take us through the selection of the, the Scorpions coach. I mean, getting ready for our game on Wednesday, and Gajaga will give us an update. Gaj, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Balde.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And congratulations for your election.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah.
You know, so we know there is no doubt you are going to deliver.
Inshallah.
And I've seen your comment on Facebook. You
Yeah.
are going to serve.
Serve.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll give it everything.
Congratulations,
Yes.
inshallah.
And remember, there is accountability.
Absolutely.
At the end, we will invite you.
First
and
is self-accountability,
Yes.
and then the public will
Yeah,
account.
so we would like to
you.
have your team maybe tomorrow
Okay.
to come on the program and tell us how
Yes.
and what changes are they going to do.
Going to do.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
No problem.
Yes.
Sure.
So, Gajaga, what do you
beautiful.
have?
So we have the Gambia national team, the Scorpions, who are on another outing. This time is the Africa Cup of Nations, Morocco 2025. But the qualifiers kick starts tomorrow for Gambia. They're playing against Comoros. Comoros being former minnows, or if you like, former underdogs. They are no longer underdogs. If a country like Comoros can beat Ghana twice even knock them out of the Africa Cup of Nations, that's no longer a small country in African football.
True.
As Gambia used to be, small country in African football, every now and then we get beaten. We don't qualify for Africa Cup of Nations, but now we qualified back-to-back Africa Cup of Nations. In fact, we are on the quest to qualify for a third consecutive Africa Cup of Nations. That is if we made it through in this group. So we are drawn in a group against Comoros, Tunisia, and also Madagascar. These are going to be very tough opponents. But just quickly, on Wednesday, the coach, Jonathan McKinstry, named his 24-man squad. So that 24-man squad, on match day, is 23 players who would be registered. So one of the players will go upstairs and watch the game, but the rest will be included in the squad. And then you have 18, 7 on the bench, 11 on the pitch.
Okay.
But there is changes to this, as news would always change. So by the time when he was releasing this squad, a lot happened few days later. Just yesterday, there is a player in this squad whose name is Ibrahim Adabo. He plays in midfield. Now he plays in the Italian second division. Initially, the coach said, you know, he was not going to be part of the squad because of an injury. But apparently, this player yesterday played for his club. Details are still sketchy, but I'm sure it is going to bring a lot of talk. Already has started on social media because his excuse was he had a shoulder injury. But the player apparently played for his club yesterday. So you cannot have a shoulder injury just last week or few days ago, and now you play for your club when you told the Gambia that you cannot come for the match because of a shoulder injury.
It's from the player himself.
The player himself.
Okay.
Yes, you know, communicated to the national team, obviously. But if you look at the squad, 24 players, and some of them, you know, 6 of them at least are making an appearance into the team for the very first time because of their performances. But just to know a little bit about the squad on that particular day on Wednesday, let's listen to this. Jonathan McKinstry's squad for the crucial AFCON qualifiers against the informed Comoros and resolute Tunisia includes 5 first-time call-ups. They are Lamin Seydi, a Real de Banjul goalkeeper in the domestic top division. The newcomers, all of whom play for European-based teams, are Joseph Cisse, Seni Sanyang, Mamadou Njai, and Abdoulaye Cisse. Coach McKinstry explains his selection.
In terms of the squad itself, we think it's a really competitive group. There's going to be some players who are very disappointed to miss out because, like we said, that competition for places, you know, I say to the coaching staff, the best coach in football is competition. If you've got competition for your place, you know you've got to be playing well week in, week out. Otherwise, you're going to be out.
The Gambia lost 3-2 away to Gabon in World Cup qualification, which was McKinstry's second competitive game as Scorpions coach, following the 5-1 thumping victory over Seychelles in the first. Despite hoping to take that form into the Gabon game, the team's wastefulness, particularly in the first half, when they went in leading 1-0 at halftime, it was to cost them dearly. Coach McKinstry thinks they need to be more clinical in their finishing, especially given the current good form of upcoming opponents, Comoros and Tunisia.
Conversion of chances is a big thing for us, you know, and again, this is a new era that we're trying to usher in with the national team. Everybody, I think, federation, coaches, players, the general public were agreed that we wanted to see a more front foot, you know, more aggressive, more positive national team approach.
Ablai Jallo, James Gomez, Ibu Toure, and Ali Sow all returned to the squad after missing the June World Cup qualifiers due to injury, which will have a massive boost, according to the coach, McKinstry.
We're looking forward to the games. The 2 games are going to be very different than the last 2. Comoros, very difficult opponent, top of their World Cup group, very hard-working opponent. And then Tunisia, someone recently described Tunisia to me as the Germany of Africa, because they always qualify every time they go, they just know how to get it done.
With the Gambia conceding a lot of goals in recent games, how the team plays defensively must improve against Comoros and Tunisia. Coach McKinstry says he isn't worried about his defense despite conceding 2 soft goals against Gabon in their last game.
We've conceded a few soft goals from set pieces. So we need to tighten that up. And yeah, I'm not overly concerned about it because, one, I think we were missing, if you look at all the players who were injured the last time out, most of them were defensive players. So we welcome most of them back in this time.
The Gambia will play against Comoros on the 4th of September before facing Tunisia on the 8th of September. Both games will be played in Morocco as Comoros cannot play in their home stadium, and neither can the Gambia. Gambian football fans will be hoping for an upturn in fortunes as the team sets off on the road to try and qualify for a third consecutive AFCON. Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News. Yes, so there you go.
So what are we to expect on Wednesday?
Yes, the expectation is that for the Gambian team to go there, perform, give their best. But will their best be enough to win the game? That's the question. That will not be known until the football match is kicked off.
The game itself.
The game itself on Wednesday. That's in 2 days' time. So the squad, there's been a replacement. Ibrahim Adabo, the player, used to be part of the squad. But when he claimed that he has a dislocated shoulder injury, he was omitted out of the squad and now replaced by Yusufa Bob. Yusufa Bob is also a midfielder. He was part of the Gambia Africa Cup of Nations team that played in the Cameroon and even in Ivory Coast as well. So lately also he made his presence in the national team. So he's the one who is going to replace Ibrahim Adabo, who withdrew from the team due to an apparent injury, which now seems to take a different tone because he was in the squad of his Italian team and even played for them. So this is a player who said he was injured. But that aside, Comoros, Balde is a very difficult team to play against. They are very well organized.
The coach mentioned it, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's going to be a tough game for the Gambia. But looking back, under this new coach, the Gambia played 2 games, won one against Seychelles, 5-1, and lost the second one against Gabon when they lost to Gabon 3-2. It was a game. As it appears, Gambia dominated possession for much of the first half. And then the second half was supposed to kickstart. There was a power outage, almost for about 30, 40, 45 minutes. The game wasn't played because there was a power outage at the stadium in Franceville where the game was played. They were playing against Gabon in the World Cup qualifiers. Eventually, when they came into the second half, they couldn't maintain the lead. Gabon scored twice. And then Gambia scored again 2-2. And then the last minute, Gabon scored again. So 3-2, Gabon won. So the coach obviously would be looking forward to at least victory in this encounter. And anything less than that, question marks will be asked because the Gambia qualified at least for 2 Africa Cup of Nations in succession under the previous coach, Tom Sanford, who is now the coach of Mali, as you and Ade were talking about. Now he's the head coach of the Mali national team, the Eagles. So this coach obviously would want to get back to winning ways again.
So does it mean automatic disqualification if they are defeated by
No. It's a group. So you play 6 matches, 3 matches home, 3 matches away. So the top 2 teams qualify automatically for the Africa Cup of Nations. So it is until sometime in the next few months when that qualification is going to be decided. So they will play against Comoros on Wednesday, and then on the 8th they will be playing against Tunisia.
Yeah,
that's
for Tunisia, you can remember we had something to do with them during the AFCON.
Yes,
we were able to
the last one.
Tunisia.
We knocked them out.
Yes. So for Tunisia, I am not very. I think yes, but for Comoros, the coach mentioned Comoros is my problem at the moment. And
yes, it's going to be a very tough one. But
considering the fact that we have 5 new
new additions, players who are in top form, playing week in, week out for their clubs, and they're doing very well. And sometimes your performance at your club level does not translate into the national team due to so many circumstances surrounding around the team because it's a different environment. Different weather. These players are scattered all over the world. Some are in Eastern Europe, some are in Central Europe, some are in Asia. So when they converge together and they have few days together, can you imagine? The players started jetting in Morocco yesterday, some of them. Some will come this morning, some will come tomorrow, and Wednesday is the game. Yeah, because they had weekend games. Yankuba Minteh was playing for Brighton Hove Albion on Saturday when they played against Arsenal. And then you have a player like Aliou Fodera, who played yesterday for Como in the Italian Serie A. He would be flying overnight and then get into Morocco probably this morning. So this morning we saw some of the pictures of the players having breakfast. So you can count maybe not up to 10, 15 players are in the squad, and you need at least all the 18 players up to the
It counts
23.
a lot. They
Counts a
need
lot,
to
of course.
actually know, and the communication needs to be there, and the connection. But once that is not there, it's always a problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we are happy that the coach is telling them and telling the public the reality. I mean, you know, you are not trying to whitewash it. Tell them these teams are tough.
Yes.
You need to be ready. If you want to conquer a particular game or a particular time, you need to be ready for it.
Yes,
you know?
definitely.
Which is very significant.
So far, what is your assessment of the new coach?
Well, it is going to be difficult to judge him. He started well. Yeah, the way he lost to Gabon, you could be forgiven for that. I think this will be another real test for the coach. So after the Comoros game, he will be judged again. But coaches are judged over a period of time. That's why you don't appoint a coach now and then after 2 matches just because you lost and then you sack the coach. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to give him some time. And then, you know, according to the contract as well, because, you know, all these coaches would sign a contract. The contract for him, nothing short of qualification for the Africa Cup of Nations. That one is a non-starter. Let's say, for instance, Gambia plays in this group. They vie for the Africa Cup of Nations, could not qualify. This coach will be sacked. That I can tell you. There is nothing that is going to change that, because that's the minimum requirement for him when he was appointed. Maybe World Cup, that is too much, because he already found Gambia played 2 matches. We lost both of our games, one against Burundi, the other one against Cote d'Ivoire. So obviously, maybe he could be forgiven for that one. But he took over, won the first World Cup qualifiers against Seychelles, and then the other one against Gabon. Of course, he lost that. And we all knew the circumstances in which he lost the match.
True.
But for this Africa Cup of Nations, of course, he can't miss out.
He got a big task.
Big job, yeah. That's why coaches are hired and fired.
Definitely.
Now,
yeah, I mean, he will be prepared for it. I am definitely sure he will take us through this African Cup of Nations as well, you know. So, Gajaga, any order? Is Steve playing?
Baboucarr Steve Traoré has been injured for 2 years. He had a knee injury, but back to playing again. You know, the injury is okay now. He started his rehabilitation over the past 6 months or so. Now he's playing in the United Arab Emirates. That's a place where he used to play before. Briefly, he was playing in Iran, but things didn't work out that well, and then he had to change environment. But now he's playing. Even the last few games, he scored one of the goals. So he's back to playing again. But not the best Baboucarr Steve Traoré that
we used to know, yeah.
Kind of dropped. But injury, of course, played a part in this. Yeah.
Wow, unfortunately.
Football, that's how it can take just a twist for you to get injured, and then that injury can lay you off for, let's say, a year and a half, some players up to 2 years. And some would even suffer reoccurrence of the injury. Let's say a twisted ankle,
when it is
knee ligament. When you have a knee ligament damage, there is a probability that you could be playing and then you suffer the same injury again. And it takes a very long time for you to rehabilitate, recuperate, and then start playing again.
All right, so Mamadou Gajaga, I think that's all we have. Yes, or you have any other thing to share?
Well, basically, I think that's it for the national team.
Yes, we'd love to have you and your team tomorrow so that we can talk about your new positions. And of course,
So you want to keep us accountable?
Absolutely, starting from tomorrow.
It's too early. We're barely into office.
Well, we want to tell you, people are watching and we want to see the dynamic is going to change.
Exactly.
Yes.
Obviously. So this is a tough one.
But we
you get to work.
Plans. We need to know
sure.
what your plans
Exactly.
are so that we can hold you accountable to
Absolutely.
those.
I'm not surprised when you have people like Gach, you have people like Fadera,
I'm
when you have those
optimistic,
people in a group.
Omar.
I mean, because you've been
and
crying and
dynamic
shouting
ladies,
and advocating for transparency,
and change.
accountability. So now the man to account people is being accounted for. So
Yes. We used to point fingers.
Yeah.
But now those
they are
fingers
pointing
are
at
pointing
you.
back at us. Oh, this is a tough one.
Julia, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Gajaga.
Yeah, until we
Yes.
come your way tomorrow
Exactly.
for another edition.
Yeah. So have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye-bye.